Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to mix things up a little bit and I'm going to talk about 5 things you need to know if you want to get into flipping cars. My name is Jeremy, this is Region Automotive, and let's get to work. So before we get into the list, I'll say it's in no particular order. These are just kind of things that popped to my head if I could think of 5 that I've learned over the years flipping cars. Again, if I had to guess, I would say I've done, like, I gotta count one of these days, but honestly, like 60 or 70 cars. So, like, yeah, again, these are just things I've learned buying cars, selling cars, and just kind of going through the process. I've made lots of mistakes along the way, and these are 5 things that I'd stick to if I could go back in time and do it, but I can't. So I'm making this video to share with you guys, so hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. So the first tip I have, and again in no particular order, is to set a budget and stay within it. Your budget will depend on obviously how much you have saved. I would say a few factors like how much you have saved, your comfort level working on cars is a big one. Usually the cheaper the car is, the more work it needs. So like, if you don't want to turn a wrench on a car, then I'd expect to spend a few $1,000s. But if you're pretty experienced with mechanics and you're just getting into it, you could probably find a car that needs some fixing up for like $1,000 or $2,000. So a good kind of number that I thought of, just like a normal run-of-the-mill budget that's kind of been working for me recently, is expect to purchase a car for around $3,000, and then maybe about $500 of budget just for like fixing up if you got to do mirror, again, mechanical work. Like it's inevitable, every car always needs something, but something small like brakes or like a steering component or interior component or something like that. So I would say if you're getting into it, $3,000 is a pretty good run-of-the-mill number to expect to spend on a car, and set aside an extra $500 for, again, small things that we mentioned. And then if you are a little bit more comfortable working on cars and you don't want to spend as much on your first car, you probably could get away with spending $2,000, but expect to put more work into the car. So my second item on the list, again in no particular order, is to buy the car for yourself first. If I could give myself advice 40 cars ago, that's really, and like some people have told me that advice and I didn't want to listen to them just because the numbers made sense at the time, but buy the car for yourself first. Like that is something that I stick to wholeheartedly these days. And what do I mean by that? Like I've said it in my previous videos, I'll actually insert in the description below. I made a pretty long video about like what to look for when you're buying cars to flip. But yeah, like my rule is nowadays, if I wouldn't buy the car and fix it up and drive it myself, or sell it or give it to like a family member or a friend, then I just don't buy the car. Simple as that. And the reason why I say that, before I've been caught buying cars that just, like the car wasn't checking out or is a bad model or needed lots of mechanical work, and I'm like, oh, I'll just make it work in my head. I'm like, oh, I'll just make it work. Like, oh, I have to do this and do that and I'll make 2,000. And like every single time I can think of where I've like been put off by a car and I just didn't like it, but I ended up buying it anyway, just ended up to be a huge headache for myself, whether it was time invested or money. Usually for me it's time, because I can fix them. So like time and like headache factor is a big thing for me. Like normally I don't lose a lot of money on them because like I'm pretty crafty, I guess, when it comes to fixing cars. But that would relate if you are fixing cars and you buy a project that's a little too over your head and you have to pay a mechanic to fix it or sell it for a loss or whatever. Like I could give you a couple specific examples. Over the summer I bought what was it, a 2010 Volkswagen Golf City. So it was like the Mark IV platform, but had like a weird hybrid of like the Mark V face on it, and the bumper was pretty cracked. The whole exhaust system had to be redone. It was leaking oil. The engine light was on for like transmission shifter code. I ended up getting the car for like dirt cheap. Well, not even dirt cheap, probably like $2,000 or something. And like in my head, I'm like, oh, I can sell it for $5,000. Like I can fix the exhaust and oil leak, and the transmission just a sensor. And like fast forward 2 or 3 weeks later of like just constant work on the thing. For one, I should have done my research. The Golf City bumper was like cracked badly. And like a new one was like $1,200 at the dealer. So again, trying to save money, I ended up swapping a whole Mark IV front end on it, and I painted it myself, and that took a lot of time. It did not turn out great. And the exhaust was a lot of work. I think the oil leak was minor. I think it's just an oil pan on that one. And the engine light, like I never was able to get it fixed. Like it's just some wiring sensor thing with the transmission shifter. So I ended up selling that car. I still made a profit. Like I sold it disclosing the engine light issue. I still made a profit, but I probably had like, I don't know, 40 hours into the car to make $1,000 or $2,000. Like I had to put so much work into it. And if I could go back in time, I just would not buy it. Like if I was looking at it for myself, I'd be like, nope, I don't want it. So that's my second piece of advice, is just if you wouldn't buy a car and fix it up for yourself or someone you know, just don't buy it. So my third piece of advice is, it kind of counteracts or contradicts my second piece of advice, but they kind of go hand in hand. The third piece of advice is to buy the seller and not the car. I know that sounds weird, but what I mean by that, again, based on my experience, I've bought and sold probably 60 or 70 cars for profit, but I've probably looked at over 100 cars, probably 150 if I had to guess, maybe even 200. I don't know. I really should count one of these days. But yeah, like I've looked at so many cars over and over and over again, and time again, if the seller puts me off, usually the car is a piece of crap. That's just a common denominator I've found. Seller putting me off, they have terrible ratings on their social media. Like Facebook has like the buyer ratings or whatever. Like if you click into their profile and they have bad ratings, and their profile's only been active for a year or two, like, they're making new profiles, trying to get away from bad ratings. That's not a huge deterrent. Like, sometimes these guys like flipping these cars or whatever, curbing these cars, sometimes they come across good cars, but chances are it's not. And then what else? Like, again, I message the sellers and they don't message me back, or they just give me the address to come look at it and they don't answer my questions. I'm trying to filter my time and ask questions about the car, just to try to get to know the seller and the car a little bit before I waste my time and go look at it. But like right away, if they just like, oh, just come, like they just send me the address, they're like, just come see the car. And I'm like, well, answer my questions first and maybe I'll consider looking at it. And then same thing when you get there, it's like, where are you meeting? What's the seller like? And then I guess another thing I was going to say too is like when you go look at cars to resell, like you have to be sold on the car and the seller, and then you're going to pass that car and the general maintenance history and the general care for the car when you resell the car. So, I've had good luck. I go look at cars that's been owned by the person for 5, 6, 7 years. They took really good care of it and they're just upgrading to a new car, then chances are the car has been taken care of, and then I can pass that story on when I sell the car, and I've had no issue selling the car. So that's, and then another actually thing I was going to say as well, which I found has filtered out people and saved me a lot of time, is get their phone number and call them and talk to them and just ask them simple questions, and you'll be able to get to know the seller quite well. So that is my third piece of advice. So my fourth piece of advice is to not underestimating detailing and cleaning the car. I know this may seem obvious, but I have fallen victim, I guess, not victim. I've made this mistake in the past. Like I used to have the mentality, again, for me, I'm sure you can tell if you watch my channel and stuff like that, I'm a pretty hands-on guy, and like repairs on cars and little rust and scratches and dings and stuff like that doesn't really scare me. Like I can clean cars up. Like I'm not perfect at doing body work. So like, there's been times where I've sold cars, I'm like, oh, that scratch, like whatever, like that would take me 5 minutes to clean it or fix it, or that dent, whatever, that'd take me 10 minutes to pop out, or that rust, that'd be like half an hour of sanding and painting. But the average consumer of a car doesn't think that way, and they don't necessarily have those skills. That's your job as a car flipper, to clean the car up. So that's one thing I've kind of incorporated in my process over the years and have learned, is if the car is really dirty, like, you know, expect to spend a good 4 or 5 hours detailing the inside, like get all the dirt, all the hair, all the cracks and crevices, and spray the dash and just get all the dirt that's caught in the little like I'm thinking of like the shifter panel and the console, and just give the car good detail, and then to your best of your ability clean the outside as much as you can. Like obviously clean it, put tire shine on it. If you've seen my previous flip videos, like my signature final step is like I like to spray a bit of odor deodorizer spray or whatever you want to call it, just to kind of make the car smell good and fresh. On the outside, clean it, tire shine, and if you can, do some wet sand and polishing and clean up scratches and dents and stuff like that. I haven't done full polishes on cars. The cars I sell are just kind of like, you know, $5,000 and under kind of beater daily cars. As long as they're clean and the body's straight, I've found my buyers haven't complained too much. I haven't done full polishes. I don't think it's worth it. But again, a clean, straight, honest, well-represented car. And then, you know, obviously you also don't want to have any mechanical issues, but I've found if the car is like just as clean as it can be and it has no mechanical issues, it pretty much sells to the first person that looks at it. So yeah, that's my fourth piece of advice, is to not overlook cleaning and detailing the car. My fifth and final piece of advice, it's going to be a little bit different than what you would expect, but my fifth and final piece of advice is don't screw people over. I'll say that again. Don't screw people over. I would say, like, there's a couple cars where like maybe they had some mechanical issues that like weren't like major like mechanically totaling issues that I may have not disclosed, that I'm not proud of. Like, you know, that was when I started and I was a little younger. But if you follow the steps that I gave earlier, you shouldn't be put in that situation where you have to screw someone over. And the reason why I say that, I don't know, like a couple of reasons. Like one, I believe that you can run a good, honest business, and what you're doing is providing a service to people, and that service that I've found and I've gotten like really good reviews on is just, there's so many dishonest people, especially selling cars. You know, they have mechanical issues, the miles are hidden, they have major body damage that's not shown in the photos. It's just like the general consumer, they find that stuff anyway when they go look at the car, and it just makes them frustrated. It just wastes everyone's time, and it just, I don't know, in my opinion, it's not a good, honest way to make money. Like for me, the way I see it is I buy a car, you know, that needs a little bit of cleaning up. I make sure, like I said, not to buy any just dumper projects that I'm gonna pass on to the next person. But if you spend the time and look at a couple cars, again, buy the seller, not the car. And then when you're buying the car, buy one for yourself that you clean and fix up and actually put in the time, clean it. Like I said, your buyer is happy. They're willing to pay close to your asking price, and you just, you know, you feel good about yourself at the end of the day. You're making profit on people, or you're making profit on people, but like, that's your business. And that's my business, is providing a good, honest car to people, and you just build good relationships and you just feel good about it. And it's not, you know, dirty or dishonest money, I guess. So, and you know, I've learned, like, yeah, sure, you can screw people over and make quick money, but like, I don't know, from what I've witnessed or seen people doing that, it always ends badly. Like whether, you know, you get that terrible reviews on Facebook and like no one just wants to interact with you, or you get caught, or you get reported to whatever agency, and even just like lifestyle. Like I've known and seen people that just do dishonest business, and to me they just don't seem like, you know, just, they seem stressed out and unhappy just because they're, you know, just trying to chase their bottom line. But like for me, it's more about enjoying the process, building relationships, good relationships with people, and then I just get paid for my service, and everyone wins and everyone's happy. Okay, so as I am filming this video, my most popular flip video to date is one of my first ones. I did a GMC Acadia that I got for $700 and I ended up selling it for $5,000 at the end. So it's actually a fun video. I definitely recommend checking that out. And that has gotten 219 likes. That's actually quite a bit of likes. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. Originally I was going to make the wager, if this video gets as many likes as that, I will do a flip following my entire process that I just mentioned. But let's say if this video can get 100 likes, I will 100% make a video following every tip or step that I mentioned in this one. All right guys, thanks for watching my video. As mentioned in the previous clip, if this video gets as much or more likes than my best flip video, then I will 100% do an entire flip on a car where I start at the bank, get our budget out, and I'll follow all the steps that I just mentioned. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a good day.